Let's get on. You guys can see my screen clearly, right? No issues.
Yes, you can see it.
Okay. I don't know why this is coming. Okay. Okay. So, just the definition of it, right? Warehouse management, it describes the set of activities, right, to ensure the most effective movement of function. As I said, right, it is to make sure that the inventory movement happens, right? You don't have a warehouse just to store inventory, right? That is not the purpose of it, right? Because you don't want to keep your inventory idle as well, right? Just get the inventory, right amount of inventory, keep it in the warehouse, and keep moving it, right? Keep moving it. You don't want to keep it forever, right? But you still want to have the right amount of inventory in optimized manner, right? And then effective movement of that inventory out of the warehouse. So that is what is warehouse used for. Okay. So let's look at what are the different channels a warehouse serves. Okay. So as I said, there are two types of usually warehouse. One is .com warehouse, which is solely used for fulfilling the customer orders. Right now with COVID, right, a lot of people are buying online, right? Almost every people stopped going to stores, especially in US and even in India as well, right? So these .com retailers had huge sales, right? And they had to keep the right amount of inventory. And with the COVID restrictions, it was very, very difficult, right? A lot of retailers face a lot of issues, right? I mean, some of them were not doing good. Some of them were like, especially grocery and home improvements in US, did a lot much better than what they usually do during April, May, right? But whereas high-end retailers, like specialty retailers, didn't do that much good. Okay. So different channels, right? So .com warehouse usually serves .com channel. These are different channels, right? Mobile, right? If you're placing the order through mobile, call center if somebody's calling up and placing the order, and kiosk if somebody's placing the order from through a kiosk. So the .com warehouse serves these usually these four channels. Okay. And then they have retail warehouse, which mostly serves the stores, right? For example, if a retailer has a stores, it could be Walmart, it could be Big Bazaar in India, right? It could be more that also has stores, right? So these retail warehouses usually serve stores, and these orders are in bulk. Okay, this is not like a customer order where you place the order for one or two items. This will be huge in bulk. Okay, say I want to buy 50 buckets, I want to buy 50 say what footballs, right? So those kind of orders these warehouses get, and they fulfill it. Sometimes some of these warehouses have dedicated doors for each store, right? This door serves only this store, like that. Okay. And some of the warehouses have like 100+ doors, so they have dedicated time slot for this store. Okay, this is the door that will be allocated, and you're going to serve only this store, right? So some retailers have common warehouses, as I said, right? Some people have common warehouse, but it's difficult to maintain if you have a common warehouse, right? Because you want to maintain the inventory differently. What you sell in .com may not be the same that you're going to sell in store, right? It could be different. So usually people have different warehouses, but some people have same warehouse but different locations within the warehouse. But I've heard a new concept now where there's no difference also. It's one retailer called Pandora is serving from the same inventory for .com as well as stores. It is very difficult and challenging to maintain, but some people do. Some people are even trying that. Okay. So on the right side, usually this is how a warehouse operation. I mean, basically, there's a whole kind of chain of action that would happen, right? A customer coming and placing an order, right? That's what you do on the customer side, and you have the OMS, the order management system, that gets that order, the customer order, and it sends it to the warehouse, right? And once it comes and you kind of do the activities, all the activities, pick, pack, and ship, and then it goes to the customer. If it is a store order, basically that order is shipped to the store. Any questions on the introduction and what is the high level usage of warehouse? It's also called distribution center. Okay, don't get confused. Okay? They usually call, there's a slight difference, but let's not get into it. Warehouse and DC are interchangeably used.
No questions.
Okay, so let's get into the first activity, inbound activities. Okay, so what happens in the inbound? Okay, there is something called pre-receiving that happens, right? Before the inventory, before the items can come from the supplier, you need to place a purchase order. There's something concept called purchase order. Say, for example, if you want to buy 10 items, A, B, C, D, up to 10 items, right? And you place the order for that. Say, I want A 50, B 30, C 40, something like that, right? So you're going to place that order. So that supplier, right, maybe supplier Z, right? So he says that, okay, I don't have A 50 that you had ordered, I'm going to give you 40, right? So he's going to send something called ASN, Advanced Shipment Notice. Okay, it's a very common term, almost everybody uses it. Okay, so he's going to send a ASN, and that tells that, okay, you asked for these 10 items. I have only I don't have all of I have maybe all the 10 items, but I don't have the right quantities you asked for, so I'm going to send this. Okay, so based on that, you do scheduling of that. Okay, you schedule that inbound and be ready for that, right? That is what happens in pre-receiving. There is a person who will be looking at the ASN and preparing it and allocating a time for the trailer to come, so that you can have that assigned to the particular door. So all that happens, okay, in pre-receiving. So during receiving, right, based on that ASN, the actual truck comes, right? There is a time allocated. It's very, very important that these people follow time. In US, I worked in Walmart where, so a time is allocated for a trailer. Trailer is a huge truck that comes from the suppliers, okay? So there's a time given. If it is, say, 1 p.m., right? You have time from 1 to 1:30 p.m. If you don't come in that time, you have to go and wait in the yard for maybe 8 hours or the next day. So you have to come in that time and just report to the receiving clerk, right, who will be there in the warehouse, and then he's going to tell you that, okay, go and assign it to the particular door, right? So that's what happened in receiving. So it is assigned to the door, and the freight that would have come in that trailer is unloaded. Okay, it's kept in the receiving area. It's just kept, nothing is done. Just so a forklift, okay, you see a forklift here, right, on the right side. Something forklift goes and just takes every item in that trailer and puts it. Okay, so those would have mostly come in the pallet. So this is what is the pallet. Okay, so you unload the pallets and keep it in the receiving area. The receiving area is not yet started. You just emptied your trailer. Okay, and then after this, right, you're going to start receiving, and based on what kind of items they are, right, whether it's a multi-SKU receiving or single SKU receiving, we're going to see all that in the later slides. Don't worry about it, right? And you after the receiving is done and receiving tickets are printed, and you start the hauling. Okay, that is just moving the inventory into the warehouse, hauling and put away process. Okay, so post receiving, what happens, right? This is, say, as I said, that you had ordered 10 items, right? And that person had told that I'm going to give those 10 items with particular quantity, right? But you have to match those, right? The driver would have come with a slip that will tell that, okay, I had brought 30 items of fare, right? You have to make sure that you get 30 items, right? So there could be overages, there could be shortages, there could be damages, right? So all of that has to be accounted for, and you kind of calculate that, right? If some quality check needs to be done, all of that, you need to keep that inventory separately, right? That is what happens in the post receive. Okay, any questions, please stop me. Okay, so this is a more pictorial way of showing what happens, right? As I said, appointment is created. Okay, the scheduler creates that appointment. Okay, delivery and appointment is created in WMS. The delivery arrives at the DC, right? DC, the warehouse. The traffic officer kind of verifies paperwork, make sure that whatever you had received in ASN is what the driver has got. Okay, at least in the paper, right? You still not looked at the inventory, but you want to make sure that whatever ASN we had got, that matches with the paper that the driver has got. Okay, the trailer is spotted to receiving door and is now ready for unloading and receipt. So this is how a door looks like. Okay, if anybody has not seen a warehouse door, this is how it looks like, and this is how you put the trailer there. Okay, so continued with more pictorial representation. Okay, trailer arrives and assigned to the door. Okay, the freight is unloaded and staged for receipt, right? You just took all the inventory out. This came in this way, right, with the pallets. You just put it there. Okay, and then item is received using generated by generating the receiving tags. Okay, so you need to have a system, right, where you can kind of generate the receiving tag so that the items can be put away or hauled into your warehouse to the warehouse. Okay, the different types of receiving: multi-SKU pallet, okay, split pallet receiving. So what it means is you can receive multiple items on a single pallet, right? Item A, B, you can receive on a single pallet, right? Depends on how big is the item. Okay, so that means that item A and B can be put on one same pallet. Another one is SSTK receiving, vendor pack or each EOM. So vendor pack is how the vendor had sent, right, in that way, right? This is mostly for smaller items. They kind of send it in a pack, right? A pack would have like 10 items or 20 items, right? Then there are some items which are bulky, which come as single, each unit of measure. Okay, some items could be like a big washing machine or fridge, right? They come as a single unit, so you're going to receive that way. So if there are some new items that come in, right, that were not there in the system, you can set it up during the receiving, right? New item setup. So that option also a warehouse should have, right? I mean, you received the item, you didn't have that in your inventory. So you should be able to set that up, okay? UPC verification, making sure that the UPC, everything that we have, it matches, right? And then slot away, the auto and manual is generated by this, okay? Slot away is basically moving that inventory to the warehouse, inside the warehouse, okay? This is what happens. You kind of print the receipt tags for each of the item and scan, and pallets are hauled to drop location. And from there, you're going to go it and store it in your warehouse. Okay.
Slot away means put away, right?
Yeah, slot away is put away. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So as I said, we're going to see single SKU pallet receiving. As I said, in this process, single items are received on pallets and then slotted to the destined slots. So there's something called prime and reserve slots. Okay. So prime slots are from where the picking happens. Okay. There are two types of slots. Slots is basically nothing but a place where you store within the warehouse. Okay. So for example, I'll show you this quickly, right? So this usually, okay. So this could be the prime. Okay. You can see, right, where I'm moving the arrow. So this could be the prime because this is where the picking happens. This could be the reserve. Okay. This is one example, but there are a lot other ways you keep primes and reserve. So this whole could be prime, and you might have a reserve in a different location. Some retailers do that. Some retailers usually what they do is they keep the prime in the lower area, and the above ones are the reserve. So basically when the inventory comes, they put it here, right? And then they replenish from here to here. Replenishment from reserve to prime, they move it later when needed. Okay. So this is the prime and this is the reserve. So picking happens from the prime usually. Okay. Sometimes it happens in reserve also in very rare cases. Okay. So moving on. So as I said, single SKU pallet receiving. Okay. It's all the same type of items received on a pallet. So multi-SKU pallet receiving, as I said, you can have multiple items received in a pallet. This is again where the reserves or primes are shared with different items. Okay. Sometimes you keep multiple items on a reserve as well. That is also possible. Okay. When you don't have space, right, or when the items are not very costly, it's okay to keep them together. Okay. But you need to have that system to kind of manage that. Okay. That you have two item A and item B in the same reserve. It's more confusing actually for picking and all. Okay, assortment freight receiving. It's a different kind of item. Okay, where example for this is you have a pack of 6 dolls with different colors. So that the pack is called the parent item and the individual dolls is called the child item. So assortment receiving is a little difficult in warehouse management. Okay, so you need to have special kind of technique for that. Okay, how do you receive slot? When you get a parent item, how do you receive it? When you get a child item, how do you receive it? So all that is sorted out here. Okay. Problem freight receiving. Okay. This is when you see that something is damaged, right? How do you kind of manage that, right? Something is damaged or it gets damaged while receiving, right? How do you manage that? You usually move it to a quality assurance area, keep it there. And there is a separate group in the warehouse called quality group, which QA group, right? Which kind of comes and decides what to do with it. Whether it's a return, do we return it? Or if it is our issue, right, how do we manage that, right? Whether you want to sell it or you don't want to sell it, you want to maybe just gift it to somebody, right? Charity, all of that is decided with that. Okay. Any questions in receiving? Is it clear?
Sorry, this right. How to handle the lot controlling while receiving?
Can you give the context?
Let's say I'm receiving trailers, okay, and I want to implement lot controlling. At what stage I can go for lot controlling? And lot number, batch number, basically.
It happens during receiving only, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do you mean by lot? I mean, lot is it
lot means batching. I want to have a separate batch or lot controlling when a pallet or item batch is receiving in my inventory.
No, I get your point. See, it all happens. I mean, depending on what software, whether it's using Manhattan, whether you're using JDA, right? So it will have that capability, right? I mean, when you receive it, I mean, see, a lot of things happen during receiving, right? If, I mean, you might probably want to do separate qualities. For example, if you're buying iPhones, right? So that has a different way of receiving. You want to kind of quality check every single piece, right? And if you're buying, say, if you're kind of ordered for medicine, right? That needs maybe expiry check as well, right? So all of that needs to be done, right? I mean, I don't know if I answered your thing, right? But so when you receive it, you kind of generate the receiving tags, right? So that will have all the number. Where, so for example, say if you received a pallet, right? So item A, and if it needs to be slotted to say some reserve X, right? Reserve location X, right? So that tag will tell you, right? So I received say 40 items of item A, right? And that needs to be hauled away to that reserve location X, right? And if there is any quality check needs to be done or anything needs to be done, that all has to be done before that.
Okay. Okay. Currently, what is our requirement is currently we are looking for a lot controlling. Means when we receive any pallet, we will name it. We will lot controlling it, and then while ordering anything, the system has to be tell which lot I need to be shipped first.
Oh, okay. Probably first in, first out, something like that, isn't it?
Right.
Before
That's
and
correct,
yeah. So
So
okay,
I need to
that's a
understand
customer.
when we can. Yeah,
That is
when we
while
can.
receiving. Yeah, that is during receiving only. You should do it, right? If you want to
Okay.
follow, if you want to follow that logic. So that usually happens for medicines and all. As I give example, right? So because you want to kind of fulfill the medicines which are kind of expiring earlier, right? So you will allocate a lot for that. For example, I received a medicine today that has an expiry of say May to 2021, right? So you want to allocate a lot for that, say lot number 1, okay? So you get another medicine which is maybe June of 2021, right? So you want to probably allocate lot number 2. I'm just giving an example, just making up an example, okay? So when you receive your order, so you should make sure that you take items from lot 1.
Yes, good.
Does it make sense? Yeah. So while receiving only, it has to happen. So probably it's a customer. Maybe Manhattan has this concept. Not pretty sure about it, but it could be a customization that you have to do for any package solution. Or if you're building custom, yeah, you need to kind of have it. This all has to happen during receiving only.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ERPs will have this inbuilt functionality for the lot control. Like Oracle already has this kind of concept wherein the items are tracked from the receiving till they get sold from your order management system.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. This is good. I mean, this will help others as well. Thank you for asking question. If I cannot answer, I'll probably try to get you the answer. Okay. But I think it's good that we have some people who have worked on it. So maybe others can also answer. Okay. I'll not be right always. Okay. Okay. So any other questions? I mean, for people who are new, is it too complex or is it okay? You people understand? I'm going to show a video at the end as well that will make it more clear. Is it fine for people who are new, first time hearing all of these concepts?
It's good enough.
Good enough. Okay. Okay. So outbound activities, right? So you kind of receive those inventory, right? And you slot it and put away in your reserve locations, mostly reserve. Sometimes you
I have a question. What kind of skill sets is required for doing customization using this ERP?
Shams bhai, we are not able to hear you.
Looks like some network issue with Shams bhai. Let's wait for him to resolve the network issue.
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Can you still see my screen as well?
No, screen is not. No, screen is not there, but we can hear you.
Okay. looks like I had some network glitch. Because of that, I think it's gone. Okay, I'm going to try to reshare again. Share kidhar hai? Okay, share screen. Okay, I'm gonna go again. You people can see it now?
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay, sure. So order processing involves downloading of orders from the OMS, right? Where you have an order management system that has orders from the customers, right? You download them and do pre-allocating and allocating. So basically, pre-allocation is you have you kind of while downloading, you see how much inventory I have. So you're going to do pre-allocation, then you do allocation during cycle wave. There's something called we're going to talk about later, right? So allocating them based on the availability of the items, right? So you should have the capability of back ordering it. Back ordering means you got an order and you don't have the inventory in the warehouse. You need to back order. Back order means you're gonna either send it to a different warehouse, or if you don't have inventory anywhere, you probably so that OMS is going to decide whether to cancel that order or to reship that order to a different warehouse. Okay, so you're gonna basically back order means you're gonna tell that I don't have this inventory. Okay, reshop is kind of send it to some other warehouse. Cycle wave. Okay, this is a very, very important concept of a warehouse, right? Where you're gonna run a wave. Okay, this is called cycle wave concept. Okay, where you're gonna basically create do proper allocation here, right? There's a lot of factors that are considered here. What is the level of service, right? Whether it's next day, same day, maybe it's a ground shipping, right? If it is so, based on that, the orders get allocated in this way. Okay. It could be some other criteria like ship as is, ship alone, right? There are some items that you cannot ship with others. There are some items that you're going to ship alone, right? For example, refrigerator, you cannot ship anything with that, right? Or can you consolidate more items, right? If a customer has ordered, say, shoes and a pen, right? Or maybe something like that, right? A shoes and a watch, probably you can consolidate and send it together, right? But if it is some item that you cannot consolidate, I mean, you cannot put it together, you're going to ship it separately. So based on that, the wave is run, and that basically generates the pick, right? Picks, right? Where a warehouse person can go and pick it. Okay, so cycle wave generates the pick slips. Okay, we're gonna see what are the different types of picks later in the slide, right? It's usually what it does is, so you run your wave, right? It looks at inventory, allocates it, and generates the picks, right? From where those items for those orders can be picked. Okay, it also generates replenishment, right? For example, say I have an order for item A with 10 items, but my prime has only 8 items, right? So it usually generates replenishment. Replenishment is from your reserve. So you're gonna maybe create a task to maybe move some 10 or 20 items to the prime, so that you have enough items to be picked up from the prime slot. Okay. Cartonization. So this only generates the logic for cartonization. What is cartonization? Is how many items you can put in a box, right? And what is the right box size to use for the packing that item. And this is one of the most complex logic a warehouse has. Okay, using the right type of box, right? I mean, usually see in India, I mean, especially even Amazon has a horrible cartonization logic in India. They kind of ship small items with huge boxes. You might have noticed it. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. Sometimes what happens is that you get a big box, but the item is very small. That is the wrong cartonization logic. Okay, so what the best cartonization logic is the right box type for the item. Okay, and if it is multiple items, which box to use, because you're going to save on the box cost. Also, you're going to save on the shipping also. For example, say if you have a customer's order for 5 items, and if you're using 5 different boxes, it's going to cost you for boxes, and also it's going to cost you for the shipping, right? So you have to kind of minimize the number of boxes, so that you save on both shipping as well as the box cost. Okay. Order types, right? Customer orders, as I said in the beginning, right? Site to store means that is the store orders. Exit orders is usually something that you kind of giving it to charity or returning it back. So those are called exit orders. Okay, that is not to the customer, not to the stores. This is the third category. It could be returning back to the vendor, or it could be charity or gifting somebody. Those are called exit orders. So these are 3 types of orders that you might get from your order management system, and you can fulfill it accordingly. Okay, some picture representation. Okay, so OMS sends it, you download that order, pre-allocate and allocate, and run the cycle wave, run the cartonization logic, right? Create picks and generate trips, create replenishment. Okay, and post-production reports. So reports are generated here. I mean, everywhere reports are generated. We don't have to. Okay, so next is order filling, right? How do we, so you got the order, right? You created the picks, right? How do we fulfill that? How do we fill that order, right? This is the logic. So this is again very complex logic, right? What is the route that picker should take, right? So that person will not go and just pick one order. He might have say 50 orders to pick in one route he's gonna take, right? Or one kind of track he's gonna take, right? So which is the best way, right? Whether he has to go from one side, whether he has to go zigzag, whether he has to go from one look, how does he travel, right? I mean, because again, right, you want to save time and you don't want that person to get tired as well, right? You want to make sure that you have the right amount of picking in that one round he's going to hit, right? So there's a lot of logic. Again, it's a very, very complex logic, right? What is the best way to go and pick? Okay. Types of order picking, right? There are 4 or 5 types. I've covered four order picking techniques here. RF order picking, where you have a RF handle device that will tell, right, go to the slot, pick these many items, right? For example, go to slot A, pick 5 items. Okay, so he goes to slot A, he sees that only there are 3 items, so he can tell that 2 are short. That means I don't have 2 items. If he finds all 5, he's gonna pick all 5. So if he goes there, sees 4, 1 is damaged, so he's gonna say that I'm gonna only pick 4, right? So that is what is done in that, captured in that. Again, that RF gun will tell that, okay, go to slot C, pick up 3 items, right? That basically the device advises him and guides him to where to go, pick how much. Okay, he'll go and scan that RF gun to that slot. So the slot also will have a label. So he'll scan it and it will tell how much to pick from there. Okay, so this is the most commonly used picking method. The other method is voice order picking, where you will be wearing a voice device that will tell, go to slot D, pick up 5. He'll go to slot D and say pick up 5, and say he has to say, okay, I picked up 5, just 5, right? And then it is fine. If he says 4, then it'll ask whether it's short. So you're gonna say that it's short. So one item gets shorted. Okay. So like that, voice picking is that. It's very fun. I've done testing with voice picking. It's very fun to kind of do voice picking. Okay. You train that voice device, especially with our accent, it's a little difficult. You train that device for half an hour, and then it'll pick up your voice.
We couldn't hear your voice.
Oh, you couldn't hear my voice for the voice picking? Can you hear now? Hello?
Yes, Shamsbhai, we are here. We
But
can hear you.
Okay. Right at the time of voice speaking, my voice went off, is it? Okay. Sure. Whoever said couldn't hear, did you get it, or you want me to repeat it?
No, we are able to hear you.
Okay, great. So yeah, voice order picking, as I said, it's fun. Okay. This is also used widely, okay, for picking. Pick by label. So this is where I mean, like receiving labels, picking labels also get generated along while you're doing the cycle wave, right? So the labels are generated. So the person who is picking looks at the label. So it will tell, okay, go to some slot, pick up these many items. He'll look at the label. This is like little like manual. So you don't have a device where you can enter something. So he'll go with that label and pick up those items and bring. The last method is pick by list. This is where it's all manual. You don't have picking label, you don't have RF device, you don't have voice. Okay. So this is pick by list, where a person, this usually happens in a small warehouse where you don't have any automation or you don't have any system, right? Where you will listed down what items to pick from where. You will go with the list and keep marking. Okay, I picked up this many. So if there's any shortage, you're gonna write it manually and do the picking. Okay. Any questions on order picking? So this is all what I'm talking about is a manual where a human goes and picks up. A lot of automation is done in the last 10-15 years where you have robots picking up. I'm gonna show a video from Amazon, right, where most of the picking is done by the robots, right? Your small robots, your cranes picking up. Okay, I've seen in Walmart huge cranes. Okay, for bulky items, they go and pick it and put it in a place, and from there the packing and sorting starts. So basically the packing is mostly done by human beings, because you want to make sure that everything is right. Okay, you don't want to leave it to the machines, right? Even in Amazon warehouses, packing 99% happens by a human being, right? You just want to verify that, okay, the address is right, you put the right item and you pack it and ship it. Whereas picking usually happens nowadays with automation. Here I'm talking about manual, where the human being going and picking. Okay, So order filling continued, right? So as I said, say for example, a customer had placed 5 items, right? So a picker went and picked 3 items. Another picker went and picked up 2 items, right? You need to consolidate. So there will be a consolidation area in warehouse. So basically, when you pick it, it will tell go and put in consolidation area A, right? So that is for maybe some customer, okay? So when that first picker goes and picks, kind of drops those 3 items in consolidation area A, so another picker brings the another 2 items and he'll put it in the same slot, consolidation area A, right? So that is how it is consolidated. Again, this is complex logic, right? How to consolidate, right? Okay, next is packing. So once everything is brought to the packing area, so this is where you kind of print the packing slip, right? And do any value added services, right? So if somebody wanted some gift message, somebody wanted some different packing, right? Somebody wanted some other value added service, right? Any other value. So for example, if you want to put a hanger to a suit, you bought a blazer, right? If there's no hanger, you want to put a blazer. Sometimes VAS is done even outside of the warehouse, right? If you need to do some more value-added services, there are some third-party companies which do just value-added services, right? So you want to do some special customization, so that is also part of VAS. Okay, so that is all done during packing, not before that. Okay. So this is where you kind of print the packing slip, and also the shipping label gets printed here, and that is pasted on the box outside. The packing slip usually goes inside, or mostly goes inside of the box, where the shipping label is pasted out of the box. Okay. So again, pictorial representation, right? Order picking, as I said, 4 types: order consolidation and packing. Okay. So you bring it to the consolidation shelf. This is how it looks usually, and this is the packing center where you do the packing. The packing, as I said, usually happens at a desktop or a touch screen by a human being. Okay. The last piece of outbound is shipping and invoicing. Okay. So shipping is usually done by the third-party carriers, your UPS, FedEx, right? In India, India also has some examples, right? Some couriers, right? So shipping is not done by usually by the retailers. It is done by the third-party carriers. So your warehouse management needs to integrate with them, right? So the shipping label comes from the carrier, right? So again, the reverse process happens in shipping, right? How you receive, the opposite happens here. You bring all the items to near the door, put it there, all packed, all with the labels, right? Put it on the pallets or put it by individual units, right? The truck of the shipping carrier company comes, and it has a door also, dedicated door. It comes at the right time, right? And you kind of take those pallets, put it in the trailer, and the trailer leaves. Okay. This is usually when you call it as the product shipped, right? When you see on the .com site, this is where it's called shipped, right? Now delivery is with the carrier, third-party carrier, right? And this is where usually you kind of collect payments also, right? You usually don't collect payments while upfront, right? You kind of you don't take the payment until you ship it. Right? Once you ship it, this is where you do the payment collection. Any questions for order filling and shipping and invoicing? So invoicing is basically, this is where you invoice. This is where you take money from the customer. Okay. Any questions, doubts?
How about the return scenario? Is it opposite to this?
Yeah, return is while
slide?
receiving. So return is part of receiving. Okay.
Okay.
So customer returns, right? That comes as a receiving piece.
Okay.
Okay. One slide on just pallet movement, right? So pallet movement, a lot of it happens in different scenarios. While receiving also you need pallet movement. While shipping also you need pallet movement. While doing replenishment from prime to reserve to prime also you need pallet movement. This is what I tried to show in this slide. Okay. So basically these are the receiving doors, and you have the shipping doors on this side. So basically once the items kind of received, the pick slips are generated. Right, you kind of haul those pallets from receiving door to your drop location. So these are your drop locations, right? Usually you drop it on the reserves. Okay. Then another kind of pallet movement could be for moving these items from the reserves to the prime. Okay. So there will be a forklift, right? That will be there. You're going to carry this pallet from here and put it here. Okay. If you go, anybody has visited a warehouse, you keep seeing these guys running around. I mean, taking their forklifts, they'll be moving very fast. Actually, there'll be dedicated lanes where people are not supposed to walk. In a warehouse, you need to be very, very careful when you visit the warehouse. Right? There are dedicated lanes where you need to walk. You cannot walk here everywhere, okay? Because there'll be forklifts going very fast, and it could be even automated robots also running around. Right? You shouldn't walk on those areas. So there'll be a dedicated place to walk, and there'll be a dedicated place for moving these forklifts. Okay. So some retailers use something called stocking shelf. This is also kind of reserve. So that's like just above the prime. So you can move it to stocking shelf also. From stocking shelf, you can move it to the prime. And sometimes you do something called full pull, right? If it is a store order, right? Usually you can pull the full pallet from the reserve and put it to the consolidation area or put it to the packing area, right? Full pull happens usually for stores only. I mean, not for customer orders. Okay. Full pull is basically you're going to pull the whole pallet and take it to the packing or consolidation area. Okay. Moving on. So QA activities, right? What happens in quality assurance? This is also again important concept of a warehouse, right? You need to have dedicated separate team to do quality assurance. Okay. So what all activities happen in quality assurance? One is inventory adjustments. Okay. Because you want to have the inventory picture is the biggest pain for all the retailers. Okay. And WMS is the main source for inventory. Okay. Because in OMS, you don't have inventory. There's no other location which has physical inventory, right? So you need to have the right picture of inventory in the warehouse, right? Otherwise, if you have a wrong picture, say, I mean, you thought that you have 100 items of an iPhone, right? But you only have 90. You either sold it or they got stolen or something happened, they got damaged, right? But if you show us 100, you're gonna place order for 100 from your .com site, and you're gonna have bad customer experience, right? You have only 90, you won't be able to fulfill all 100. So you having a right inventory is very, very important, and WMS plays a very crucial role in that. Okay, having right inventory, and where is the inventory, right? I mean, you need to keep doing cycle. There's something called cycle count, right? Usually happens few times a year. Sometimes it happens once in a year. If it is costly items, usually people do once in a week as well. Okay, if it is jewelry or if it is costly items like iPhones, iPads, and all, usually do once in a week, and that is kept in a secured place also, not open where theft and lifting can happen. Okay. So inventory again, real-time inventory visibility, that is also related to inventory, right? Making sure that you have the accurate inventory picture, that is the work of the quality assurance team, right? They usually go visit the warehouse, make sure that, right, what is supposed to be in slot A is in slot A. Sometimes what happens that picking guys pick up something and drop it somewhere, right? They don't care about it, right? Because yeah, it's not their job, but they should be careful. But sometimes it happens, right? You picked up something wrong and you put it somewhere else. So this is quality assurance team needs to go and visit and make sure that that item is kept back in that place, right? So that is all done by the QA team. Okay. Outbound audits, right? That is also done by the QA team, right? Outbound audit happens is, say you want to make sure that you're sending the right product. This is to avoid returns for customer satisfaction, right? You want to make sure that you do some audits, right? Say for example, say 1,000 shipments are going out of your warehouse. You want to at least audit, say maybe 50 or 40 of them, right? You just want to randomly pick something and make sure that what the order was and what the item is going, whether it's in right condition, the packing slip has the right information, everything, right? So outbound audits are done. Cycle counts, as I said, this is again in the system, you can generate it manually. Cycle count is basically going and counting manually, physically going and counting. There are some companies who do cycle count. There are dedicated companies who do cycle counts. You have to basically close the warehouse operation when you're doing the cycle count. It happens, it sometimes it could run for days, and sometimes it happens, well, usually they do it in night, right? Where a cycle count could be done for the whole warehouse. It could be done for a particular area. It could be done for a particular small area as well. Okay. It could be done for particular items also. Okay. So it's all again, you can kind of generate cycle counts in the system. Reclamation, including controlled damage items. So reclamation is, I mean, as I said, right, some item is, I mean, there are few items which don't have slots. Okay, you have to make sure that they dedicate, they kind of assign the proper slot, right? Reclamation is basically that such inventory which is not accounted for, but you have that inventory, right? You have to make sure that all the inventory is accounted for. Okay. Main thing is inventory visibility, okay, of QA, and also making sure that what you receive is right and what you ship is right. Any questions? concern. Okay. All good before we jump on?
Yes.
Great. Okay. I'm going to play a video. Okay. Now, this is a little old video, but still pretty relevant. Okay. Let me see if I've shared the this one. Okay. More. Where do I now? I don't see the share computer sound. Okay. Sure. So I'm going to play this video, make it bigger. This is from Amazon warehouse. Okay. Let me know if you guys can hear the sound. Okay.
Should this tactical zoom lens be made illegal in India?
This
is the first
box appears here. E-commerce is a magic trick that repeats millions of times a day. For a peek at what happens in between, we visited its inventor. This is where an Amazon delivery begins. A building that's 1/3 of a mile long. Ordinarily, it's off limits, but not today. Amazon opened closed doors.
Steady flow.
And opened my eyes.
I don't think it's well understood.
With a footprint equal to 59 football fields, this Amazon fulfillment center is simply mammoth.
We have the packing, the picking, the slamming, the shipping, the receiving.
It's home to an army of employees.
A little bit over 100.
One 6-ton pallet-slinging robot.
We affectionately call it Robo-Stow.
And a squad of box-shuffling cyborgs.
We like to think of it as a symphony between robots and our great associates.
We found a secret at our feet. The floor is covered in tiny QR codes.
It's sort of like a chessboard.
Eyes in the robots' bellies read the codes and broadcast their position. Choreography that keeps your shipment on time and avoids collisions.
They know exactly where to go.
Clicking that yellow button sets these robots in motion, sometimes within seconds. But your order is not handled by Android alone.
The drive units, the Amazon robots, are actually bringing items from where they're stored to associates so that associate can pick customer orders and get them ready to ship out.
A real-life human being boxes every Amazon order. As with every department, there's simply no guesswork in choosing the right box.
How do I know which box to pick?
Our technology will tell you.
The computer tells you.
The computer will tell us the perfect size box to fit that item.
From there, it's time to slam it.
Slam.
Fortunately, SLAM isn't an action. SLAM is an Amazon acronym for adding your address and sending your order home.
Scan, label, apply, manifest.
Orders are constant.
We process thousands and thousands of packages.
The exact number is confidential, but we do know that Amazon sales hit a record $88 billion in 2014, driven by new same-day delivery and selection that no other retailer can touch.
You can't fathom the amount of inventory that we have in the building.
It looks like a lot, and it is. Amazon says those shelves are home to 1 million different items.
1 million.
You think the typical customer realizes that?
Probably not.
We even spotted a toilet in stock.
You name it, we have it.
Chaos and a supersonic conveyor are what we expected. Manager Chris Monette explained that speed isn't everything.
The important thing is just the flow.
Order levels fluctuate, and yes, there are rush hours. Yet Amazon says its software regulates the line to maintain a steady pace.
In order to have 1 million unique items in this facility, you have to be able to do that.
As gaping, gargantuan, gigantic as this fulfillment center is, it's not alone.
We have 109 fulfillment centers worldwide.
Locally, 59 football fields probably isn't enough either. Our tour guides hinted at expansion, though they wouldn't touch the drone thing.
We did build this facility with room to grow, so stay tuned.
Amazon has taken heat for claims of harsh conditions at its warehouses. Perhaps that's why it granted us access behind the locked gate and let us interview Diane Ortiz.
I'm happy to have you guys.
She recently joined Amazon. Diane works 10-hour days, 4 days a week.
Okay, that's pretty good enough. You guys got some idea of what we covered? Hello? You people can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you. And
Yes, we can hear.
You saw the video? Everybody saw the video, right?
yes, we could see the video.
Okay. I think some of you might have seen it already, but it's a little old, but it at least gives you an idea of how big a warehouse is, right? What all happens, right? There is MHE, material handling equipment, right? That is not human. That's all. You'll have conveyor belts, right, where the picking happens, and they just drop it on the belt, and that belt go. I mean, if somebody has gone to our airport also, right, you might have seen a small conveyor belt, right? Where you drop your luggage, it goes, and if there's a problem with any of the bag, it goes to a different location. It gets diverted and goes to a different location. Whereas there's no problem with the bag, it goes to the right location where you can just take the bag and go off, right? So that is how a conveyor belt is, right? It tells where it needs to be dropped, right? So you have a conveyor that is running, and if something needs to be dropped to a different location, it just pushes that to that location. So that's a conveyor belt. Okay. So this is in this slide. What we are trying to tell is so WMS needs to interact with a lot of other applications, a lot of third-party applications. So here we have shown at high level, right, what all applications that it interacts with. Okay, what you see in the center is a core WMS functionality that we almost covered, right? Inbound receiving, sorting and put away, right? Order processing, picking, packing, shipping and manifesting, returns management. I think somebody asked that question. Basically, returns is done a little differently than normal receiving, right? Because you're gonna get it in mostly single item packs, right? It could be single items, but you need to receive that, right, as a receiving, and you need to decide on whether the product, you need to do quality check for that, right? If it is some electronic item, probably you want to do the checking, right? And if everything is fine, you have to pay back the customer, right? If something is wrong, probably you're going to take some money out of customer, right? Or if you want to take the shipping cost, probably you can deduct that during that time, right? So that is what is returns management. Okay. Inventory control, we covered that. Cross docking is probably something I didn't cover. So there is separate kind of warehouse. It's called cross docking, where usually you what happens is you have a warehouse. These are usually smaller warehouses compared to the normal warehouses, where you get inventory from different vendors, kind of mix and match that and send it to your stores, or it could be even customers. Okay. So in cross docking, usually you don't store inventory. Very rarely you do, maybe a small amount of it. So you just receive it. Say, for example, item A, B, C is coming from 3 different vendors, right? But you want to send those 3 items to your store. So you get it to this warehouse, club all those items and send it to the store directly. You don't store that inventory in the warehouse. That's called cross docking. So get the inventory, mix and match, and create what you need for a particular store or a particular customer, and send it directly. You usually don't store. That's called cross docking. Okay. So on the left side, so you have yard management. Okay, yard management is, as I said, right, that scheduling, that coming of truck, right, coming of what time, right. So all of that is done in the yard management. Okay, it's a separate application, usually not done by WMS. So you're going to integrate with yard management. Okay, this usually tells how many trucks are going to come on a particular day, how many doors you have, how can you assign all of that. That happens in the yard management. Okay, labor management. Some WMSs have it, some WMS don't have extensive labor management. It's very, very important that you have a good labor management to improve operational efficiency, right? It's very important that you have the right right amount of employees working in a warehouse, and they are healthy, they are doing. So I've gone to a Walmart warehouse where they do free up exercise before they do picking, because they usually have to lift heavy items, right? It could be grocery, but they'll have to pick maybe 10 kilo, 15 kilo of packages. Okay. So they usually do free up exercise before they start picking. So the team kind of stands in a circle, do some exercise before they start picking, right? So the lot of labor management is not easy, right? How do you manage the leaves? How do you manage the salaries? Everything. So that is also usually done outside of the warehouse. Okay. Carrier integration, or TMS, transport management system, right? So this is usually done out of the warehouse, out of the WMS, because this is third-party integration, right? So usually there are some integrators, right? Which kind of we're going to cover those some examples, something like Scan Data, ProShip. So which have they're called carrier shippers. Okay, they kind of once you have a package. So you're going to send a request to them, and they will decide which carrier to choose, whether it's UPS, FedEx, or it could be some local carrier, right? They're going to tell you which is the cheapest carrier to carry this in the amount of time you want to. If it is the next day, which is the cheapest and best carrier that can deliver it next day. Okay, so that is done by the carrier integrator. So on the right side, this is usually done within the warehouse, but again, not core WMS functionality. Slot optimization, right? As I said, which item needs to go where, right? I mean, Manhattan has it, and some of the package solutions do have it. But again, there are some kind of specific companies who do this work. Okay, slot optimization. How does my warehouse area look like, right? Which item needs to go where, how much quantity to maintain, and all of that is not how much quantity, which item needs to go where. Okay, that is slot optimization, so that your picking slots are easy and picking is easy. Okay, MHE, material handling equipment. So all of those robots, right? All of those cranes, big cranes, all of that is MHE, right? WMS needs to integrate with it, right? For example, say you generated a pick, right? You want a MHE to come and do that picking, right? So all that, it needs to talk to that system. Okay, WMS need to talk to the system. And voice picking is also not usually a WMS function. It is a third-party application that it needs to integrate with. Any questions? People who have worked on, I mean, for others, it might be a little new, right? People who have worked on WMS, any other application that you can think of that is not covered here? This is not all the application I'm not telling, but at least at high level, we have tried to cover. Still there, everybody? Sab so gaye kya?
No, it's good. We can proceed.
Very attentive.
Alhamdulillah, Shamsbhai, you in 1 hour you try to complete a lot of things. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, sure. So these are some solution options, right? Whatever applications you see is what we have tried to cover. WMS, right? I mean, build. So as somebody said, right? Somebody using 20-year-old WMS. I'm not surprised. Walmart used to use 30-year-old WMS before we built a custom WMS for them. Okay. So usually it's very difficult to change a WMS. Okay. Because it takes a lot of time. I mean, what I worked on WMS for Walmart was a 2-year project with 3,000 requirements. Okay, 3,000 requirements. And while I was the QA manager at the time, we got 5,000 defects in the application. Okay, so it's not easy to build a WMS, right? So usually people don't kind of change it for long, right? So mostly people go for package solution unless somebody like Walmart and big retailers, right, who can spend a lot of money, because building custom WMS is also not easy, right? Not many people have this capability, right? Only very big players, right? We're going to see that also in the Gartner report later, right? Very big companies work on WMSs. Okay, maybe if it is a small, one warehouse, right, where you have very few items, probably people do build custom small microservice based maybe WMS. Now people have started building it, but building a WMS is not easy. So people usually go with package solutions. Okay, so mostly used is Manhattan, but it's very costly. Another one that's used now is JDA. It's renamed as Blue Yonder, right? It's JDA WMS. IBM also is suggesting. IBM had a WMS, Sterling WMS, but they kind of stopped it a few years back. Their OMS is very famous, number one OMS in the world, but WMS number one is Manhattan. Okay. Now Sterling is so basically IBM is suggesting to use JDA for the new customers. Okay, any customer want, they kind of prefer, they kind of tell them to use JDA. That's called Blue Yonder. Okay. Corber, okay, that's another. It's also called High Jump. Okay, that's another famous WMS. There are like 7, 8, or 10 WMS. We just try to cover 3 here, top 3, I would say. Right, so these are the top 3 WMS that you can use. Okay, and it has most of the things that you need in a WMS, but there will be some customers, because every retailer or every person using a WMS will have some unique things that you still have to customize. Okay, but customizing in a Manhattan is very, very costly affair. Okay, if you need to customize, they're going to charge you a lot. Okay, because it's a package solution and nobody else has access to their code. Okay, yard management, famous ones are C3 solutions, Exotrack and Pink. Okay, so basically what is the key consideration? Visibility on yard assets, right? How many doors you have and how much area do you have in the yard. Okay, and optimization of the trailer flow from gate to gate. Okay, automation of VR driver task assignment. So that is all done by the ad management. Slot optimization, as I said, Manhattan has it. It's pretty good actually. And Opticity is another company that does slot optimization. Okay. WCS, warehouse control system, NAP, I don't want to, Daifuku, Schaefer, Dematic, Honeywell. So these are some of the famous WCS systems. Okay. Labor management. So SAP is there, Workday is there, Kronos. So those are very famous labor management system that are used in the WMS. Okay, warehouses. Career integrator, right? So these are third-party career integrators. Scan Data is very famous, used by Walmart. ProShip, a lot of retailers use ProShip. Not only for warehouse, even for store. If you're shipping from the store, you need to have a career integration from the store as well. Pitney Bowes, ShipHawk. So these are the famous career integrators. So basically, what they have is, as I said, once you have a package ready, so it will tell which is the cheapest carrier that can pick it. Okay. Basically, they're called rate shoppers. They also call it rate shoppers. So you have a package, you tell them that I have a package of say quantity, say size 12 into 12 inches, right? And you say that its weight is say 5 kilo. So it's going to go and do analysis and get you the cheapest shipper that can do the shipping. Okay. The next is transport management system, TMS. Again, very similar to your carrier integrator. Okay, so Blue Yonder, Oracle, SAP, and Manhattan also has, SAP and Manhattan has.